All right, guys, for this trick, we need the deck to be shuffled. So let's give it a nice, thorough shuffle, just like this. Does not really matter. So for this trick, we actually need the help of 3 different spectators. So let me just ask one of the spectators, doesn't matter who, but I'm just gonna ask them to tell me when to stop riffling. Let's say they say stop right over there. Doesn't really matter, it's a completely free choice. And I'm gonna give each spectator their own card to hold on to. And along with their own card, I'm gonna give each of them their own little pile as well. So now each spectator, spectator A, spectator B, and spectator C have their own cards and their own piles as well. So at this point in the trick, the magician being me, I would actually have to turn around for this next part and give the spectator verbal instructions on what to do next. But in this case, I don't actually have any real spectators with me, so I'm just gonna be playing the role of the spectators for this particular performance. But just keep in mind that in the real trick, the magician would be turned around, not looking at the cards. And the spectators are holding the cards, doing everything themselves, completely out of the magician's control. Just keep that in mind. So for this next part of the trick, I tell them each to take a look at their cards first that they selected. So spectator A here has the ace of hearts, spectator B here has the jack of spades, and spectator C has the 6 of spades. So 3 completely random choices. They can show each other if they wanted to, but it doesn't really matter. Now I tell each of them to take their card, hold them face up, and I want them to lose them somewhere in the middle of their piles, just face up. So they're gonna take each of their cards, just randomly insert them somewhere face up in the middle of their piles, just like this. So they're just gonna do this just randomly, just like that. And once they do that, I tell spectator A to take their pile, place it on top of spectator B's pile, and then take spectator A and B's combined pile, place that on top of spectator C's pile. So at this point, the deck has been gathered up together, and I'm gonna turn back around, and we're just gonna take a look at the deck over here, the situation of the deck, and we're gonna take a look at where the spectators placed their cards. So over here, we have spectator 1's card, the ace of hearts. You can agree that was a completely free location of where you placed it. They say yes. Let's take a look here. Spectator B's card, the jack of spades. So that was a free choice of a card, and also a free choice of a location of where to put the card as well, right? They say yes. And spectator C, the 6 of spades, you guys can see that was placed in a random spot as well. And they say, yes, that was completely random. Now, the reason why I had you do this is I really just wanted to test your intuition. And I didn't tell you that I was gonna test your intuition, because if I told you that, then you guys would have had, some pressure put on you and you would have had to try harder. But I just wanted to test your completely just true, raw intuition. Now let's take a look at where you guys just placed these 3 random selections. And actually, I don't even know if it was so random, because for some reason the ace of hearts here was placed directly next to the perfect match, the ace of diamonds. Let's take a look at the next one here, the jack of spades. That's interesting, the perfect match, the jack of clubs, and the 6 of spades over here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was also the perfect match. 3 cards, freely chosen, freely placed in the deck, perfectly found their perfect matches. And that right there is the trick, guys. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to stick around for the tutorial. All right, guys, so here's the tutorial for the trick that you just saw. So this trick looks pretty straightforward, but I'll be honest with you, this is actually pretty advanced stuff here. Get ready to learn some pretty knacky sleights, and they are a little bit annoying to get used to, but once you practice them and get them down, you guys should be able to do this trick and fool people really, really hard. This is a really, really cool trick for 3 spectators, and I really, really like it a lot. This is actually a trick by Alex Elmsley called Face Your Brothers, so credit to Alex Elmsley for creating this trick. So without further ado, let's get into how this trick is actually done. So you're gonna need a little bit of a setup for this trick. So technically you can do this trick impromptu, but you would have to set up the cards in front of the spectator. It is a little bit complicated, so I would just recommend having the deck set up beforehand. So it's just way easier to do it like this. So the setup for the trick, you're gonna wanna pull out any 3 pairs of cards that you want. So I pulled out the 2 red aces, the 2 black jacks, and the 2 black sixes, just random choices. I don't know why I chose those cards. And then once you pull out these cards, you're just gonna take 3 more random cards, doesn't matter what these are, and just place them aside for now. And this is going to be how you set up the deck. So first, you're gonna split up the pairs like this into, you know, two groups of cards. So we have ace, jack, six, and then ace, jack, six. All you're gonna do is take one of the piles and you're just gonna reverse the order. So if one pile is going ace, jack, six here, so ace on top, jack in the middle, six on the bottom, then you're just going to do the reverse order of this with the other pairs of cards. So the reverse order of that would be six on the top, jack in the middle, and then ace on the bottom. So as you can see, it's just the soulmates just reversed for one of the piles. So that's perfect. And then you're gonna take your three random cards here. All you're gonna do is place these on top of one of the piles. It doesn't matter which one. And then you can take the other pile of soulmates and then you place that on top as well. And this right here is going to be your setup. This is your 9-card stack that is going to go on top of the deck. So this 9-card stack goes right here. And once you do this, you are ready to perform the trick. So once you're in this position, you can do some false shuffles or you can do some real shuffles and just maintain the top 9 cards on the top. That's what I did in the performance. So I did a nice riffle shuffle there and I just maintained a lot of cards on top. And you can give them a bridge as well. You can also do some overhand shuffles and just maintain the top stock as well. You just place the cards back on top. So you just shuffle some cards off the bottom here, and then you just place the top half right back on the top, and that will not disturb your 9-card stack on the top. So at this point, you can perform any force that you want to. I just did a Riffle Force, simple Riffle Force. You have the spectator, anyone just call out stop. They say stop right there. You're just gonna break the cards at the pinky break there, and you're gonna give each spectator you know, their own card to hold on to. And you're just gonna peel off the top 3 cards. Then what I like to do is I just hold a break and then I just simply table cut to the break there to bring those cards back up to the top. So what I've just done is I've forced these 3 cards on the spectator, my ace, jack, and 6. So I know this is actually the reversed order of the performance, but just stick with me for now. So say this is spectator A, spectator B, and spectator C. So now what you're gonna do is you're going to riffle off about a third of the deck and give the top half here to spectator A. So just make sure that's very important. You give it to them, and then you're gonna split the rest of the deck in half, give half to spectator B and half to spectator C. So at this point, you, the magician, you're really going to turn around and you're just gonna give the spectator these verbal instructions and they're gonna do this part entirely by themselves. So you're just gonna ask them to take a look at their card, remember it, and then to insert it anywhere they want to in the middle of the deck. So a quick tip, you just have to make sure that spectator A places their card somewhere in the middle of the deck, and it has to be below the top 6 cards. So they cannot place it in the middle of here because that will kind of ruin the setup. So if they place it anywhere below the 6 cards, that will be fine. If you guys are worried about this, what you can do is you can give spectator A a much bigger pile. So just give them like half the deck, and then you can give spectator B and C about a split third of the deck there. But now spectator A has a much bigger chance of leaving their card way past your setup. So now you don't have to worry about that at all. So you tell them to take their card, lose it in the middle, and square it up. And spectator B does the same thing. Take their card, remember it, lose it in the middle, somewhere face up. And then spectator C does the same thing. They take their card, lose it in the middle, somewhere face up. And now you tell spectator A to take their pile, place it on top of spectator B's pile, take A and B's combined pile, place it on top of C's pile, just like that. What that does is it takes the top 6 cards and it leaves them on the top there. So that's perfect. So now you're gonna turn around and you're gonna pick up the deck and you're gonna act like you're looking at what the spectator's cards are and where they are in the deck. I mean, you really are doing that. The truth is you already know what the cards are because you forced them on the spectator, but that part doesn't really matter. What matters now is the sleight of hand that you're about to do. So you guys are about to learn a very weird version of the cull. First off, you're gonna need to cull the 4th, 5th, and 6th card underneath, and then you're gonna need to insert them underneath each soulmate one by one as you go through the deck. So it's a little bit weird and it feels very unnatural at first, but trust me guys, you just have to practice it and you'll get used to it. So I'll try my best to teach it how I think it's best done. So I'll just teach you guys. What you're gonna wanna do first is you're gonna wanna cull the 4th, 5th, and 6th card. Now how I do this is I'm going to peel off the top 3 cards, and then what I do is I take my thumb and I push off the 4th card further than I normally would so that it's almost squared up with that 3rd card. What I do now is I'm gonna take my thumb, place it on that 3rd card, and my fingers underneath the spread are contacting my 4th card over here. I'm gonna take the 4th card and pull it underneath there until I feel it click underneath the spread there. When I do that, my card is now underneath the spread, completely underneath the spread there. That's the 4th card over here. Now to cull the 5th card, I'm gonna push that card off. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my fingers here and close that card back up so that it's kind of squared up with the rest of the spread now. I'm gonna take my right hand and lift it up now, and I'm gonna cull this card now, and it's gonna go right there, and it's gonna click off again. And now you guys can see that the Jack of Spades there is actually going to be right below that Ace of Hearts. The last card, the 6th card, before I cull it, I'm going to lift up my hand so that those cards kind of clear the card, and then I'm going to cull that card underneath, and now I will have 3 cards here that are basically underneath the spread. And as you guys can see, those cards are going to be the Ace, Jack, and 6. The rest of the cards are still on top of the spread, but you're going to keep those 3 cards nice and squared up underneath the spread. So now at this point, you're just going to spread to the first card that was selected, the first card, which is the first face-up card here, the 6 of Spades. Now this part just feels very, very weird, very knacky. You're gonna spread the 6 of Spades so that it ends up in the right-hand spread. You're not gonna leave it in the left-hand spread here. Make sure it's on the bottom of the right-hand spread, but not exactly on the bottom. You see, your culled cards are actually gonna go underneath that card. So this card is gonna go above the culled cards here. What I like to do is I take my thumb and I just kind of hold the entire right-hand spread just to support it. And then what I do is I use my fingers here underneath, and I'm going to push that 6 of clubs, just this single card underneath there, and it's gonna go right below the 6 of Spades, as you guys can see. So it's gonna go right there below. And when I do that, I'm going to take my fingers that were pushing that 6 of Spades, and I'm just gonna contact them back on that Jack of Clubs, and I'm just gonna simply kind of pull my hands apart very slightly until I feel that click. So I've just loaded one of the cards underneath the 6 of Spades. Now I have the 2 cards still cold underneath, and now they're free to go for the next part. So I leave that card there, and I continue to spread. So I continue spreading. My 2 cards are still underneath the spread there. All I do now is I go to the next selection here, which is going to be the second one, the Jack of Clubs over here. This is actually the exact same procedure. I'm just going to leave it in the right-hand spread here. Use my thumb to clamp down there. A tip is I kind of like to leave this little triangle space here open. So this space right here really helps that card get loaded in. So now I'm gonna push with my fingers. That Jack of Spades is gonna go right there underneath that card, but make sure it's not sticking out like this. You wanna make sure it's squared up with the rest of the deck so that they can't really see it. And once that card is right there, loaded, just like that, it's loaded underneath. I'm gonna use my fingers here to contact back on the Ace of Hearts. So I'm gonna bring my fingers from here to here. And all I'm gonna do is make sure my thumb is clamped down, and I'm just gonna pull my hands apart just a little bit till I feel that card click right underneath. So now it's cold again underneath. Now I'm gonna continue spreading, and this is the last part, which is very easy. I'm just gonna take this card here and just load it right there underneath that Ace of Diamonds. So I just take the card and I just load it right underneath as I continue spreading. And that's very simple to do. So the first 2 are very complicated, but the last one is actually pretty simple to do. So once you do that, the trick is done. You've just loaded the 3 perfect matches right underneath each of the selections. So if we take a look here, we now have the 6 of Spades right next to the 6 of Clubs, the Jack of Clubs here right next to the Jack of Spades, and the Ace of Diamonds here right next to the Ace of Hearts. So that right there is the entire trick, guys. So yeah, like I said, this is an extremely, difficult trick at first. It feels very, very weird, very unnatural. And also, this is not the original way that Alex Elmsley taught it. This is like my handling on it, but I think it works pretty well. You just have to practice it. But once you guys practice it, it gets easier and easier as you guys do it. You just really need to practice the cull. And once you guys get the cull down, then you guys should be able to do this trick just fine. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this trick. Be sure to practice it and let me know how you're doing. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like, and if you are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. So see you guys for my next video. Bye.